Do burpees make you smarter? Can bench press be considered time well spent when prepping for exams rather than just productive procrastination? I've seen claims circulating Reddit that both strength training and HIIT are effective nootropics and brain-boosting activities, turning these obvious wins into win-wins. To dig a little deeper on this, I've got my brother and practicing medical doctor, Dr. Owen, with me. How are you? And welcome to your show.
Thanks, mate. I'm good. And thank you so much for having me on my show. Now, quit hogging the mic and let me talk to the good people about evidence-based medicine and what came up on my PubMed sleuthing about exercise and cognition.
Really? Isn't that something we do around here first?
Yeah, right. The old gut check thing. How does this one sit on an emotional and an intuitive level? Emotionally, I'd quite like it to be true because I already enjoy both strength training and the occasional dalliance into high intensity exercise. So I'm basically on the hunt for more excuses for more of both. Intuitively, both of these forms of exercise do seem to fit nicely into these sort of virtuous circle, positive feedback loops of stressing the body and mind and getting some results and feeling more capable of doing and overcoming hard things. But I can certainly recall more than one occasion where a particularly heavy gym session has totally wiped me out. And I've subsequently not felt up to undertaking even the most simple of cognitive tasks. But before we launch into the latest scientific data and whether or not it supports the benefits asserted by Rhonda Patrick and the rest, let's check in with you and your gut feels, Samuel.
Yeah, mate. So to be honest, we're on the same page. Sometimes I go to the gym at lunch and I come back revved up for the rest of the day. But others, I'm just kind of pooped, which is why I think doing an episode on this would be so interesting. Surely a fitter body means a fitter mind. But what does that mean over the long term? Like, is it a short-term gain? Is it a long-term gain? Anywho, let's get into what's actually happening to our brains during and after exercise.
Yeah. So a little bit more preamble then about the proposed mechanism. And it's multifactorial, meaning it's more than one thing going on at once when we're exercising in the attempts to boost our cognition. So the first thing that's happening, and it's short-term, transient, wears off, is we're increasing blood flow to the brain. And the second thing is that the brain benefits from processing the lactate that we produce as a byproduct of anaerobic respiration. And the third thing, which might be the biggest of all, is that exercise has been shown to stimulate the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which is essentially brain growth hormone produced by, well, the brain. And, here's the unfortunate thing. As with just about all the hormones and chemicals that the body makes that allows us to feel so rubbery and magical in our youth, BDNF levels tend to fall naturally as we age, contributing to decaying brain function. So it's important that we look for ways to boost it, and exercise just might be one of them.
So tell me then, Owen, what's the verdict? Is this all legit? Can exercise make me smarter? Lord knows I know it. I need it.
Well, from the available evidence and from what the systematic reviews of the best available, highest quality evidence that we have to hand, this one does seem genuinely legit. Definitely over the short term, over the course of days and sort of up to about that 8-week time frame, which is usually sort of the maximum end of what the trials have been studying. But what we really need to see, and I don't think the research has been published on this, is what the cumulative effect of doing both HIIT, high intensity interval training, and strength training versus not doing these things might look like over months and years. Because this is what we need to know about when thinking about adding tools to our toolkit for aging gracefully and extending our high health spans as best as possible. So that's a pretty big caveat really to these studies, that not many of them run that long. But here's what we've got. We've got, all linked below, a 2024 meta-analysis and systematic review of 20 randomized control trials where you're splitting apart into 2 study groups, randomly allocating your participants into each group, hoping that you balance out the other factors intrinsic to each human participant that might affect the outcomes, studying high-intensity interval training and cognition that found overall positive effect sizes favoring high-intensity interval training over not in executive functioning, information processing, and memory, with effect sizes of around 0.3 throughout, solid-ish, worth knowing about and probably worth doing, and remarkably similar to the creatine supplementation cognitive benefits that we covered on last week's episode. So that's awesome. But perhaps more importantly, for those of us that just like lifting heavy objects and putting them down exactly where we found them, we do have some good news. A 2019 systematic review and meta-analysis, also linked down below, found slightly larger effect sizes, but in study cohorts that skew a fair bit older. And as we mentioned before, the brain-derived neurotrophic factor levels do naturally drop off in age. So it might be that there's a bigger benefit in older generations who basically need a bit more help to stimulate production of that essential growth hormone for the brain.
Can I just rewind for a second there, please, mate? Do you mind kindly attempting to describe what the effect size is, what a 0.3 effect size actually equals, or what that means as a metaphor?
Yeah, so when the systematic reviews are looking at lots and lots of studies in a particular area that use different measures of how effective something is or isn't, they try and calculate a number that sort of bridges the gap in all these different measurements of effect size. And so they produce something called the standardized mean difference, or SMD, and getting a 0.3 is kind of probably low to moderate effect size worthiness of the intervention being studied. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Working, mate. Thank you.
So, there weren't any studies that combine the additive effects of doing both, or lack thereof. So maybe there's a certain maximal amount of exercise-derived benefit, and high-intensity interval not particularly more effective or less so than resistance, or maybe actually the two do compound and stack on top of each other. We don't know.
One to watch, maybe one to do a little experiment at home. Maybe this can be one of those rare occasions when you say, do please try this at home and let us know how it goes.
Maybe, or maybe do a really big experiment and involve lots of people and publish it in a journal. And you can be mentioned in brief passing on the Doctor Owen show.
There we go. If that's not a great offer, I don't know what is.
Might be the very greatest of offers.
All right, then. Okay. So then, Doc, what's my prescription going to be this week?
Bloody good question. I mean, good question. The study linked below that looked at different HIIT protocols for their effect on blood lactate levels suggests 8 rounds of 30 seconds on, 90 seconds off is spot on for this. But that's only one of the plausible key components of driving an increase in cognitive function with exercise. But, sounds pretty good. And there hasn't been any studies that have really drawn out what the training sweet spot is. So, yeah, maybe that's worth a go. Bit of high-intensity interval training. How does that sound?
Hey, that sounds like a good idea, as long as it make me smarter. Yeah, got to commit to this, eh? But yeah.
Yeah, you just keep on trucking with both your HIIT and your strength training and enjoy the cozy, comforting swaddle of knowing that what you're doing is not only good for your body, but also your mind. On that note, thank you all so much for watching. If you've enjoyed being here and learnt a thing or two, please subscribe and share the video with someone else who needs to see it.
Thank you.